If I tell you that Thomas More was a saint, literally, a man martyred for refusing to acknowledge King Henry VIII as the head of the Church of England, who was canonized by the Catholic Church for his self sacrifice in defense of his faith, you might imagine that Utopia is a serious book. So, as you start to read it, you might be a bit confused, because it seems as if More is being serious, but it also seems as if he's being silly? So, in Utopia, is More being silly? Or is he being serious? When it comes to this profoundly influential masterpiece of world literature, readers are often tempted to interpret it too simply. For example, Catholics are tempted to read it as simply a moral allegory, and communists are tempted to read it as simply a political manifesto. But Utopia is a complex text, and it is particularly important to remember it is a satire. So, to answer my own questions, in Utopia, More is being silly so that he can be serious. Yes, the names are silly. To create the name of a perfect place, one might have expected More to combine the Greek words eu and topos, which would translate to happy place. Instead, he created the name Utopia by combining the Greek words ou and topos, which would translate to no place. And More gave the fictional traveler who tells the fantastic tale of the island of Utopia the last name Hythlodaeus, which would translate to dispenser of nonsense. But it is exactly those silly names that start to give us a sense of how serious More's suggestions are in Utopia. More employs silly names to camouflage serious suggestions that the ideal society would allow such controversial practices as euthanasia and divorce. Through Hythlodaeus, More advocates for a form of communism and denounces the then current social order as a conspiracy of the rich to oppress the poor. Notice that although More is also a character in Utopia, he makes conventional statements that seem to defend the then existing social order. It's Hythlodaeus who makes unconventional statements that criticize the existing social order. This would allow the real-life More the protection of saying that he was merely reporting the subversive views of Hythlodaeus. Another indication of how concerned More was that those subversive views could land him in the Tower of London was that even though he was from England, he had Utopia published in Latin in 1516. It wasn't published in English until 1551. That was, it should be noted, 16 years after More was executed. So he was right to be concerned about how the ruler of his country might have reacted to criticisms of the existing social order. So yes, More is being silly in Utopia because he is being serious. Or, to put it in the terms used by modern philosopher Espen Hammer in his essay, A Utopia for a Dystopian Age, More is being playful because he is being purposeful.